But I had a call this morning from a devotee, and she's complaining how her husband is cursing at her and accusing her of having many men in her life. But she has never had that, because I personally know her, and she is solely dedicated to him. But the husband keeps cursing and accusing her that she has slept with her brother, her cousin, her uncle, her friend or whatever, her boss, whatever. So what's causing that? You know, and she is totally confused and depressed because her husband is accusing her of all these things and having a fight, and she's insisting that she's none of those. But what's making him do that? Is number 9. And she's number 2. Right? It's amazing that he's been doing that for years, and they're still together. And then at first, his mom and dad took him seriously, but then later on, after he started to say about the brother and the sister, and the brother and the uncle, and then they realized he was mad. He was a little bit mad over what he's saying. Then they realized he's just making it up. But what drives a man to do that? And why does she have to go through that? So the question is, why does she have to go through that, and why is the man doing that? Right? And it all has to do again with the match and the mind. Right? In this case, she's 2, so she's very dedicated. But she says things that are very hurtful to him when they're sometimes together, fighting, things like that. And he now knows that she doesn't like to be accused of that. So he purposely uses that now to get back at her. Right? Why are they suffering each other? Why are they creating this suffering for each other? And it's all because of the ego. The ego because it wanted to be right. All because they want to be right. It's amazing what people do for the ego. Some people will separate for months. And I know one girl, she actually went into divorce. She got a lawyer, he got a lawyer, and they had a big business and a big house. They spent $100,000 on lawyers. And then she came to me and she said, what's going to happen? I said, you guys are going to get back together. So who won? The lawyer. Sometimes it's amazing that we are so lost, it makes no sense. And because we are not honest with each other in the mind. Because we're not honest. We're not telling from your mind. Forget about the heart. There's no heart there. But what's from the mind? And you have to be honest. And we are not honest. So the first step toward good relationships is to be honest with each other. And we are not honest. We create all of these lies and everything. And I can tell you from experience that that's how I live my life. You know, I am honest with my wife. I am so honest with my children. You know, that if I visit one of my children and I come back, they will cry for me. This is how honest. The relationship is so honest, so clean. So that's what we need in a relationship. But God puts us to our test because of our ego. So I noticed number 1 relationships, well, let's take a good example here, is um, Gustavo and Martha. Gustavo is 6. What is it? 1. And Martha is 2. So that's a tree relationship. Right? Now, a true relationship, we have another Tony and Danny here. There are a lot of true relationships here. And a true relationship is one of the most interesting relationships that I found. They will fight to the death, but they will still come back and love each other. Isn't that amazing? They will have a lot of disagreement, but they still love each other. Is that true, Gustavo? But they will fight for silly things. The things, and I have learned one thing in the three relationships, that as a Swami I can't get in between. I can't take no sides, because in the end I get blamed for everything. so in a true relationship, I have to be cautious, right? When the other side comes in, I'll say yes, you're right. The other side, I'll say, yes, you're right. Right? Because if I say that one is wrong, that one will jump and say, look, see, Swami says you're wrong. Well, why is that in a true relationship we have that kind of situation? The people, that doesn't mean the people is bad. It doesn't mean the people are bad people. They're good people. But it's because of the combination, right? Because why? In this case, if it's a 1 and a 2, it's the personality. The 2, of course, we say, talk things without thinking, right, Miguel? Talk things without thinking. And then the 1 is very, very commanding or bossy. And the 1 becomes worried too quick. He worries about everything. She said, in room, and I said, bossy. So there you go now, the true relationship, because the 1 is trying to control, and the 2 is trying to feel good by criticizing, by telling the other person that, okay, well, you're not good, I'm good. Right? So there's that competition of the ego for that, right? But what's going to cure it now? Being honest. The 2 wants to be told that he's handsome or beautiful. He loves flattery, loves to be told nice things, right? And the 1 wants to say, the other person says, well, listen, okay, you are important, right? That's all going to solve the problem. But they'll never say that. Right? Unless they are honest with each other. See? So God puts us in a relationship for the purpose of changing our ego, our personality. Right? We have lots of relationships, 6 and 6, 3. Test of ego here. The biggest test of ego is always a true relationship. In other words, how you get 3, in case we don't know, if you add the life code of the one person to the next person, you get the number 3. Right? Now, in 1 relationships, there's always that loneliness, but also that accusation. Very possessive people in a 1 relationship. They always have possessiveness. The other one says, "Oh, you're fooling around with this person, that person, actually that person. You don't love me." Things like that. A lot of insecurities and things like that. So a lot of possessiveness in a 1 relationship. Now, in the 2 relationship, when you match the marriage, and you have 2, that's one of the best relationships. Very, very little divorce in that combination. This is number 2 relationship. When you add the 2 numbers and you get 11 or 2, that's the best relationship. That usually stays together for a long time. And then the 4 relationship, it's a very solid relationship, but they have to work hard for each other. And lots of anger. But the reason why you have a 4 relationship is because lazy people usually end up in that relationship. But they have to work very hard after that. In other words, they get a partner who says, you're lazy, you got to work, you got to get up and do this, you got to get up and do that. So you end up in a relationship like that. When it's a 5 relationship, it has to do with trust. That's where you get all the secret affairs, or you have fooling around, or you have distrust, or you have problem with illicit affairs and so on. Or so the whole relationship, you have to learn how to trust each other. Right? And then the 6th relationship is one of the most destructive relationships. Usually there's divorce. In every person that's a 6, always I notice they have to marry twice, most of the time. Or they're separated. Because 6 says you have to have some separation. And then they could come back together again the second time that you have. And in the 7th relationship, that's a very spiritual relationship, but that's also a test of ego. Ego about the belief in God. Usually there's always one partner who doesn't believe in God. And that's a test of relationship. One believes in God and the other one believes in God, and so the other one is saying, come, let's go to the temple. The other one says, no, I don't believe in God. And so there's a battle in a 7 relationship. Right? Like I have it sometimes. And then the 8th is usually one of the good relationships also, very nice, and lots of money and so on. You usually find people in that to go into business and so on. Right? And the 9 relationships are the destructive relationships too. Somebody will die. Right? If you have a 9 marriage, somebody dies at a time, or somebody dies younger. One partner will die younger. That's how you get widowhood in the relationship. So these are very powerful information for a relationship. So we're going to be putting that in our book this year. We're going to have a book on relationships this year soon, and hopefully people can understand why it's happening. So whenever you are having these problems in your relationships, try to figure out, what am I doing wrong that needs to be corrected? What needs to be corrected in that relationship? And usually love is never the problem. Love is never the problem. First, the people love each other. That's not a problem. Problem is ego. Problem is expressing your feelings honestly. That's usually the problem. Love is there. Right? So, this is all because of life code. Life code helps you to anticipate the problem before it happens. So you can know ahead of time what's going to happen. And this is what we are going to learn in 2012. As destruction comes closer, people are going to realize that they are not as big as they thought. As destruction comes closer, the hurricanes, the earthquakes and everything, people are going to have a different mind. They're going to realize now that they are not as big as they thought they were, and they don't have to fight with everybody they see. Right? It's amazing when a hurricane comes, all shopping stops, and right? And then when shopping is on, and the sun is bright and everything, and they said, I gotta go shopping, and the store is gonna close. But now the store is closed by the hurricane. So the whole idea is that we have to realize that we are part of this universe and we are small. And as soon as we realize that, all the hurricane stops, right? All the earthquakes and tsunamis stops, right?